stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Now, the original Snow White movie dates back to 1937.
And very evidently so.
Subtitle, zip it.
Based on an 1812 German fairy tale created by the Brothers Grimm. It was pretty much the first, if not one of the first, fully animated movies to be released on the big screen. The movie went on to be met with both critical and commercial success. It's safe to say the movie has a fond place in many hearts of many families across the world. So it's probably a little challenging hearing some young whippersnapper taking an Amber Heard-sized dump on the movie publicly every time a mic shoved under her pompous nose. All the more harder when we find out that person is involved in the remake of said classic. All more harder still to find out the studio behind the remake is the same studio that did the original. Looking at you, Disney. All the more baffling that the company is rested on the shoulders of these 7 diminutive yet unique individuals, both figuratively and physically, to this day.
To this day!
Now, I've seen a fair few videos online defending her. I mean, not out and out defending her, making excuses for her. Sorry, that's the way I see it. That's fair enough. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Personally, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. Saying, oh, she was like this because she was thrust into the limelight at such a young age. This is her way of coping with it all.
Bullshit, Mr. Handman.
Sorry, guys, it's just a bad excuse. I mean, it's not like she was plucked out of obscurity before landing this. I mean, she had just been cast and probably filmed West Side Story with none other than Steven Spielberg at that point.
So that kind of doesn't add up, right?
She did freaking press with the guy, for crying out loud. Homegirl was already speaking her mind back then and asked on her thoughts on Steven Spielberg's decision to not have subtitles in the Spanish audio sections of the movie. Her response was simply, it's 2021, learn Spanish.
Right.
Sasha Calle. Now that's an actress that came out of obscurity, literally filming Days of Our Lives before she landed the role of Supergirl back in February 2021, after which she received some serious backlash when on-set images of her costume were leaked online.
Oh, no.
She handled the whole thing with level-headed professionalism. It's like, I'm gonna let my work do the talking. Talk her work did. To me, she was one of the highlights of the movie, and there weren't many. I was counting. Point is, it's night and day between these two. Sasha Calle, when she won the role.
You know what this is?
What?
You're Supergirl.
Rachel Zegler when she won the role.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
But I hear what you're saying. Joker, she was 25 going on 26. Hardly the same thing. Comparing apples to oranges. Fine, I give you Exhibit B. Then 22-year-old Halle Bailey. No. I'm pretty sure you know that I said Bailey, not Berry.
My bad.
She copped a lot of flack for being cast as a black Disney princess in what was originally a non-black role in the Little Mermaid remake. This is a direct comparison, mind you. Now, maybe I missed it, but I remember her launching attack after attack after attack on the original classic. I remember her launching a big attack on fans of the original who were unhappy with her casting, including yours truly. But I digress. Now, the most bizarre thing about this remake is, well, it's so far removed from the original.
Can it actually be called a remake still?
I don't know, it's so different.
Let me count the ways.
A Colombian woman of colour playing a pale-skinned German lead.
Weird.
No sign of any 7 dwarfs.
Go away. Weird.
7 dwarfs replaced by 7 refugees from a Woodstock concert.
Weird.
Snow White favouring becoming a girl boss rather than finding true love.
Weird.
A prince who may or may not make the final cut anyway.
All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
And lastly, Gal Gadot cast as an evil queen who's jealous of Snow White. Come on, I can't even take this seriously. I'm just skip to the next part.
Nice. Nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
Exclusive. Branding experts warn that Rachel Zegler backlash could ruin Disney's big-budget Snow White remake and predict executives will be having crisis talks in order to win back fans ahead of the 2024 release.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
It's too much. It's too much, isn't it?
Like seeing yourself for the first time in full Snow White drag.
I love that description. It's perfect. And you get to wear Sandy Powell, first of all, insane. And then you get to be lit by Mandy Walker, and Nadia Stacey designed your hair and makeup. It's like the most incredible thing in the world. If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed. It's like the most incredible thing in the world. It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Oh, for God's sake, I can't stand this. There's too much politics going on at the moment. Why does she need to do it?
I quickly have to ask you about the Hunger Games prequel. I am so excited for you.
Thank you. It's an incredible experience. Francis Lawrence is the OG. Everybody in the cast is wonderful, including Josh Andre Rivera. Hi, honey.
And is that
Yeah, that's my beau.
Yeah, that's your beau.
See, here's the confusing. They're making a big deal about her playing a character that doesn't need a man in the movie. Yet in her real life, she clearly does need a man. And that's cool. She looks all the happier for it. What's the big deal about Snow White finding love? So the message is what? Do as I say, don't do as I do?
It's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Ah, young single people, right?
When we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is the most just.
What are you saying?
Also, the fact that she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's the proactive one, and she's the one who set the terms.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Is what makes it so relevant to where we are today.
I tell you, it's gonna be woke as hell.
Look, I'm calling it. This movie is going to be one of the biggest box office bombs of all time, if not the biggest. Why? Because it has zero redeemable features in it. Been plagued with bad press way back when Peter Dinklage himself prevented 7 of his brothers, his fellow dwarf men, from feeding their own family by being cast in this movie, getting work. Then till now, it's been disaster after disaster after disaster, plaguing this movie.
It's taking jobs away from our community that are very few and far between as is. This is a fairy tale. This is a fairy tale about Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, where one of the focuses is on these 7 dwarfs. It's in the title. This role is made for them. So now you're taking these roles of not just 1, but 7 little people away because you feel like we have to make progression. It's so stupid. It's just dumb. You're actually doing worse for the community than better. And by saying they're these cave-dwelling Neanderthal kind of people. No! They lived in a cottage, mind you, surrounded by gems, so they were rich, and they were working-class dwarves. He didn't do his research. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And as for Homegirl's comments about only watching the movie once when she was a child, being scared to death of it, let's take a look at that, shall we?
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
You serious?
Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once, never revisited Snow White again.
Are you sure?
Now, here's a couple of pictures of Zegler as a child, having watched said movie. Mind you, this is posted by the woman herself. Talk about self-owned. Can you see a connection? Dog darn if I can. Or are we to believe that having watched the movie in her terrified state, she turned to her mother and said, "Can you buy me a dress like the princess in the scary movie?" I mean, come on, man, really? I remember watching Nightmare on Elm Street as a child. Scared the crap out of me. Think you find pictures of me as a child running around dressed up as Freddy Krueger? No! She's about as authentic as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Freddy Krueger giving you a reach around. She's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as authentic as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He's about as funny as Seth Rogen is funny. He
reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
Really? Now, just to explain the level of stupid that statement reaches, the most powerful character in the story is a woman who is a queen who governs the land, ergo the highest authority of power in that land. The main character herself is a daughter of a king, making her a princess, also a level of authority destined at some point to rule. So tell me, Rach, what about those two characters exactly is dated with regards to ideas of women being in power?
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
This is what postmodern society is breeding every day. People who truly cannot think for themselves outside of what they've been programmed to think and say. And why Rachel Zegler is a cautionary tale sadder than anything the Brothers Grimm could ever create.
I actually did start filming a video, and then it got like morbidly depressing, and I was like, I probably shouldn't post that because it just honestly like makes everyone worry about me, I'm pretty sure. Is this as close as you're gonna get to a vlog? Probably. I'm gonna be honest, guys, like I'm a very mentally ill piece of human right now, and so it's very hard for me to want to share that with the world.
See, it's not just Disney's box office at risk here. This girl needs help, but I also know the people who socially engineered her to be this way, they don't want her to change one bit. That's the way of the woke. Doesn't have to make sense. You don't need to like it. You just need to hit those talking points. Before long, Rachel had already taken over Brie Larson as the most disliked person on the internet. Now that takes great skill.
What's wrong with me? I'm getting what I deserve, I'm reaping what I sow,
If I was Lionsgate, I'd be very, very nervous right now.
What I do feel strongly about is that there is an over-girl bossification of Disney princesses, and not every female protagonist has to be a leader and a strong female character.
Good point. I completely agree with you, so make a different film.
But wait! There's more!
The son of one of the directors of Disney's original Snow White film is calling the live-action remake starring Rachel Zegler insulting. The 91-year-old, who also worked as a designer for Disney in the 1990s, said, "It's a whole different concept, and I just totally disagree with it. And I know my dad and Walt would also very much disagree with it." Hand went on to call the film a disgrace and say of Disney, "Their thoughts are just so radical now. They're making up new woke things, and I'm just not into any of that." He continued, "There's no respect for what Disney did and what my dad did. I think Walt and he would be turning in their graves."
So what do? When you've united the entire internet against you? Well, the first thing you do is extend the biggest olive branch you can grab hold of. Heck, even the whole darn tree. Then you hit a snag. You're reminded by none other than Gina Carano how unceremoniously ruthless you were towards her. That whole pronouns in the bio fiasco. Yeah, when you sent your angry mob after her, stirring up hate like it was a witch's brew. Where was your desire for peace and forgiveness back then?
Man, this is some bullshit!
So now you're kinda embarrassed because that clearly ain't working. So what's the backup plan? Well, you find yourself an ally. There's none more reliable than a recently pumped up feminist wave. Fresh from watching the Barbie movie for the 100th time. Ready to take down a man or two. Or thousand. So you start reposting every anti-man video you can get your rubby little hands on in hope of deflecting the narrative. It still won't work because the majority of people taking you to task online aren't men. They're women.
This is starting to sound nothing like Snow White. They've just got a character named Snow White, but the story seems to be entirely different.
You would think that they could find somebody to play Snow White who, I don't know, actually liked Snow White.
Weird. As somebody who was excited for Rachel Zegler to be cast as Snow White, I no longer am because of her pure attitude to this movie.
Condescending hubris that really gets me with the whole, well, it's not 1937.
Evidently so. The more interviews that Rachel Zegler gives, that the whole cast gives, the more I don't want to watch this movie.
People are pissed, right? Because she's playing this iconic role and she's talking about how the movie is dated.
First full-length animated feature, won an Oscar, changed cinema forever. Maybe don't shit on it.
A girl boss feminist who don't need no man.
The thing that really grinds my gears is that
All of this commentary insinuates that if you are looking for love, and if that's your greatest dream right now in your life, somehow that's not worthy.
It's okay to do both. You don't have to make men seem emasculated and puny to make women seem strong, and you don't have to eliminate them altogether, as this actress has actually suggested.
Whatever you may think about it, it wasn't of your time, so it doesn't mean that you can just trash it.
There is nothing wrong with wanting to find love or be a housewife or a mother. There is nothing wrong with wanting to be a feminist icon. What's wrong is trying to imply that you cannot be both.
Like I said, there is no saving this movie. No amount of PR is going to rescue it from its doomed destiny. But hey, I'm going to enjoy watching this movie burn to the ground. You know what Disney deserves. But enough for me. What's your comment about the movie? Is your comment about Rachel? Is the internet being too harsh? Not harsh enough. Will the Hunger Games prequel bomb? Comment down below and let this movie fan know. Hi ho, hi ho. Off to watch something decent I go.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign. I am.
Oh my God, we're doomed!
Yeah, this movie's gonna be trash.